My 24-year-old man, dad, his fiance, and her son, 18-year-old, are all going out of town this weekend for a cruise and will be back the following weekend. She, dad's fiance, has anxiety about being away for a week and has asked me to do many various tasks around the house, which I have agreed to do, including making sure my immature brother, 27-year-old man, stays out of trouble. For context, she does a lot around the house since she doesn't work, and I have a job where I only get one day off each week. But whenever I am home, I do the chores assigned to me and anything else asked of me. Today is my day off, and I'm on the couch with my earbuds in. She waved at me, and I took both earbuds out and gave her my full attention. She told me that my dad will be home in 10 minutes and needs help moving furniture, then asked me to show her how to empty the vacuum's dustpan. I said, "Oh, that's easy. You just lift up the hatch on top and pull out the dustpan." I'm sitting in a spot where I can see it charging, and she's 5 feet from it, so I expect her to go over and try. But instead, she stood there and said, "Can you just show me?" I again replied, "Name, it's really simple. You just lift the top hatch." And she again said, "Name, come show me how to do it." I replied, "Name, you literally only lift the hatch on top of it. You can't mess it up." And she stood there for 5 seconds staring at me, so I stood up from the couch and she walked away to the upstairs bedroom. I decided to just do it myself and emptied it, then sat back down and waited for my dad to get home. Fast forward 10 minutes until after we finished moving the patio furniture, and I went to the office to watch YouTube or something. My dad came into the room and let me know that he thinks she unplugged the internet, and then he walks to the kitchen and I hear her talking about the internet modem power cord. I walk in there and ask her why she unplugged the internet, and she said, "Because I'm a jerk." When I stood there confused, she proceeded to explain how she feels like she is invisible and that she's not respected how people respect my dad, and how when she asked me 3 times to show her how to empty the D-bot, all I did was sit there and be sarcastic. When I tried to explain that the reason I didn't get up to show her was that she was right next to it and that it is one of the most basic tasks ever, she got 2 feet from my face yelling, basically repeating her interpretation of the events and how she is treated like she doesn't exist. I asked her to please let me finish, which she then got in my face again and continued yelling at me. I was getting really aggravated and raised my voice at her to say, "I'm going out to the porch. I'm not going to let this escalate and let you freaking yell at me." I then went out to the porch and sat there on my phone while she and my dad went at it. My dad thinks I didn't do anything wrong. Am I the idiot? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. As the former owner of a much beloved D-bot, rest in peace, Captain Rex. I just wanted to drop in and say, of all the robot vacuum cleaners, this brand is ridiculously easy to figure out just by looking at it. And you do indeed just lift the hatch and grab the self-explanatory handle. Edit. I also agree her meltdown was not about the vacuum cleaner, and yes, you could have read the room differently, but you are not the jerk. Comment 2. You are not the jerk. You gave simple instructions, and she didn't even try. Neither did she explain why she couldn't do it. Instead, she just repeated her demand. Is she not a native speaker of your language? Now for the update, thanks for sticking around for the latest. So after that whole vacuum fiasco, things went from bad to worse. My brother, the one I'm supposed to keep out of trouble, decided to throw a party while the folks were away. I told him it was a bad idea, but he just laughed it off. "What's the worst that could happen?" he said. Famous last words, right? The party was a disaster. Someone spilled red wine on the new white couch, and the neighbors called the cops because of the noise. I spent the whole night cleaning and trying to keep things under control. The next morning, I found my brother passed out on the kitchen floor, surrounded by a sea of empty bottles. I was furious. I had to call in a favor from a friend to help me get the stain out before my dad and his fiance got back. But that wasn't even the worst part. The fiance's son, let's call him Mr. Trouble, decided to take advantage of the situation. He snuck into my dad's office and tried to steal money. I caught him red-handed. He begged me not to tell anyone, said he needed the cash for something important, but I wasn't having any of it. I told him he had to leave and never come back. He left, but not before throwing a tantrum and breaking a vase. When my dad and his fiance returned, I had to come clean about everything. My dad was disappointed in me for not keeping things under control, and his fiance was heartbroken about her son. She couldn't believe what he'd done. They argued for hours. I felt guilty, like it was all my fault for not being more assertive with my brother in Mr. Trouble. In the aftermath, my dad's fiancée decided to take some time away to think things over. She went to stay with her sister, leaving my dad alone and confused. He didn't know how to handle the situation with her son, and he was struggling to keep the peace between us all. Just when I thought things couldn't get any more complicated, my brother lost his job. He'd been skipping work to hang out with his friends, and his boss had had enough. Now he was home all the time, making messes and expecting me to clean up after him. I was at my wit's end. I decided to have a serious talk with my brother. I told him he needed to get his act together, find a new job, and start taking responsibility for his actions. He didn't take it well. He accused me of trying to control his life and said I wasn't his parent. We had a huge fight, and I told him I was done helping him if he wasn't going to help himself. Things are still tense at home. My dad's trying to reach out to his fiancée, and I'm doing my best to keep the house running smoothly. But it's hard. I feel like I'm walking on eggshells trying not to make things worse. I just hope we can all find a way to move past this and come back together as a family. Thanks for reading. My friend sets me up on a blind date with her brother who insults me, so I expose his nasty behavior online and watch his reputation crumble. I, 23-year-old female, have a friend I'll call Anna. We are not best friends, but close enough that we hang out and text somewhat frequently. She knows that I'm currently single and offered to set me up with her brother, 29-year-old male, on a blind date. I was happy and said yes because I was curious. When we had the date, it was probably one of the worst dates I've ever had. He talked only about himself, was rude to the waitress, and kept making off-putting comments about my body like, "You have good breasts, but you should lose some weight or do some squats for your butt. Then you can be considered curvy and not fat," or, "Are you sure you want the fries? Gotta watch your calories," and other similar things. For context, I'm not overweight by any means. I struggle sometimes with anorexia, but currently good with an average weight for my height. I laughed it off and changed topics, but I already knew it wasn't going to work out. After a bit, I made excuses and we left. At this point, he tried to take me to his house, insinuating a hookup. I politely said no. He continues pressing me, saying, "I know you want it, don't lie." I said definitely no, and explained that his behavior was rude and off-putting. He said something about how all us women enjoy a guy that's mean to them and how we like to put up a fight. At this point, I might be the AH. I said this exactly. Yes, but those men have to look a lot better than you for women to enjoy that, which is actually my honest opinion. He looked visibly taken aback, so I tried to explain that I had no issue with his looks if he had a good personality, but to pull off saying the things he said, he would have to be a supermodel or something. He was clearly upset, so we split the check and went our separate ways. Anna asked me in chat how it went, and I replied that we weren't right for each other and both said some mean things. She said it was a pity it didn't work out and that's it. A week later, I kept trying to message her and call, but she wouldn't respond. But I didn't pay too much attention to it. Today, I met a mutual friend of me and Anna. She said that Anna was really mad at me. Apparently, her brother struggles a lot with body and looks issues, and after my comments was in depression and refusing to date ever again. My friend said that even though he was rude to me, I didn't have to comment on his looks. I can see that I was unnecessarily hurtful, but under the context, I do not regret it. Was I the AH? Will Anna ever forgive me? Edit, because so many people took it out of context, it made me think that I didn't phrase it right. I want to clarify, if he was a hotter guy and made those comments, that would never be okay. No matter your looks/popularity/richness, fat shaming and pressuring for intimacy are never okay. I was referring more to the bad boy charm that can sometimes come with teasing/witty repartee, none of which falls under what he said about my weight. Saying that hotter guys can pull it off was in regards to, "I know you want it," which if both parties want it, can be hot. That's it. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1, not the idiot. Her brother seems to have used the negging approach, a la Andrew Tate, to diminish you and make you grateful to him. He didn't like the same terms being applied back to him. That's not how the script is meant to go. But he said some very hurtful things to you that could have harmed your mental health. With regard to Anna, she has probably got a very skewed story. If mutual friend says anything else, maybe feedback what her brother said to you and how he made you feel. Comment 2. So it's all right for Anna's brother to insult your physical appearance, but unnecessarily hurtful for you to tell him a few hard truths? Perhaps Anna's indulgent support of her brother's attitudes towards women is part of the problem? While I would love for you to have risen above his crude and antiquated behavior and comments, and in hindsight, perhaps you wish you had too, in the age-old trope, he started it. Not the idiot now for the update. Thanks for all the comments on my last post. Here's what happened next. A few days after Anna stopped talking to me, I got a text from her. She wanted to meet up and talk. I agreed, thinking maybe we could clear the air. We met at a coffee shop and it was tense from the start. Anna said her brother was still upset and that she was caught in the middle. She felt like she had to choose between us. I tried to apologize, but she wasn't having it. She said I should have been more sensitive. Then out of nowhere, Anna's brother walked in. He said he wanted to talk to me too. He looked pretty down, and I felt a twinge of guilt. He apologized for his behavior on the date, said he was working on himself. I was surprised but appreciated the gesture. We all talked for a bit, and it seemed like things were getting better. But then Anna's brother asked me out again. He said he wanted a second chance to show he had changed. I was hesitant, but Anna was looking at me with hopeful eyes. I didn't want to ruin the progress we'd made, so I said yes. I thought maybe he really had changed, and I didn't want to be the reason for more drama. The second date was a disaster. He hadn't changed at all. He was still making rude comments, and this time he got angry when I called him out on it. He stormed off, leaving me with the bill. I was so mad at myself for giving him another chance. I told Anna what happened, and she was furious. Not with her brother, but with me. She accused me of leading him on and said I was the reason he was struggling. I couldn't believe it. I thought I was doing the right thing by giving him a second chance, but it just made everything worse. Now Anna won't talk to me at all. I've lost a friend, and I feel like it's all my fault. I should have trusted my gut and said no to the second date. I thought I was being kind, but it just backfired. I don't know if Anna will ever forgive me, or if I'll forgive myself. Thanks for reading. My nephew used my house to feed his gaming addiction, and my boyfriend hid the truth. So I exposed their secrets and made sure they faced the music. My 29-year-old female, sister and nephew, 14 years old, have had some trouble in their relationship since he hit puberty. Nothing major, just the occasional arguments between them, which I believe to be a part of him growing up. My sister is an amazing mom, but since he is the oldest, she can be strict with rules with him. A few times a week he comes to my boyfriend and me, house after school. I work from home, so there is always someone there to open the door. He usually comes in around 3, and I finish work at around 4. He feels very at home at our house, gets his drinks and snacks, and plays on the Xbox in the living room for about an hour. When I finish work, we drink tea together and chat a bit. Sometimes he does homework and I help where I can. He occasionally tells me about the fights with his mom. I always empathize with him, but I never talk badly about my sister. I just want him to feel he can open up to me and encourage him to do the same to his mom. My sister knows he's been coming to our house and is fine with it. Just the other day, she found out he's been playing on the Xbox when he's at our house. She became mad at me for letting him play. While I knew he was addicted, I didn't. I tried to tell my side of the story, that I don't see him having difficulty stopping playing, and he told me he never plays late at night. He sometimes on the weekend plays until 1 a.m., which I don't think is that bad for a teenager, but he assures me he likes his sleep better. He does well in school and is active in various sports. My sister was adamant about him not playing at my house, and since it's her son, I want to abide by her rules, but I do think she's overreacting a little. Last time my nephew was here, I was swamped with work and he was bored and asked me if he could play. As I was not about to finish early, I told him he could play for a while. I don't really see the harm in it, but I was going directly against my sister's rules. Since I don't have children myself, I don't know if this is very wrong. Am I the jerk? Edit. I've seen some comments about my sister being 15 when she had him. To clarify, I am 29, she is 37. Sorry for the confusion. Thank you all for the response. Edit 2. Thank you all for the response. I didn't expect so much. The general consensus is that I didn't do anything terribly wrong, but I probably shouldn't have gone against my sister's wishes. I agree. Not an excuse, but I was overwhelmed that day and didn't have the mental energy to think of something else he could do. 1,000 times respect for people with children who face this every day. I will talk to my sister this Easter weekend and ask her what she notices in him that makes her think he has an addiction. If it is worse than I thought, I'll recommend counseling. If not, then I'll discuss the situation and look for alternatives with them both. The most important thing for me is that all relationships remain healthy, between me and my sister, him and her, but most definitely between me and my nephew. Thanks again. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. Oh no, a pool table here in River City. Your sister is big on control. She sees addiction in what is simply an engaging pastime. It does no harm to play. If he's doing well in school and is into sports, it's clear that this hasn't taken over his life. She's living vicariously through her son and objects to him playing video games because she doesn't want to play video games. Thus, it's obviously an addiction. Comment 2. Not the idiot. How would you know until she told you? Now that she's told you no Xbox, you shouldn't let him play at your house. But TBH, considering you're watching him plenty, a little one-off here and there likely is fine. I also really hate that she's saying he's addicted. That's a hefty claim. It sounds more like mom isn't parenting enough if he's playing too much. Now for the update, thanks for sticking around for more of the saga. So my sister and I had a long talk over Easter weekend. She told me that my nephew had been skipping meals, losing sleep, and his grades were slipping. All because of that Xbox. I felt like a fool not seeing the signs myself. I promised her I'd support her rules from now on. No more gaming at my place. But then things took a turn. My nephew came over looking more down than usual. He confessed he'd been betting on online games using his mom's credit card. He was in deep, we're talking thousands. My sister was devastated. She had trusted him with her card for emergencies, and he'd abused that trust. I was angry, sure, but more than that, I felt betrayed. He'd lied to my face, making me an accomplice to his secret. The next step was a given. My sister took away all his gaming privileges and grounded him indefinitely. She also made him work part-time to pay back every penny. It was tough love, but necessary. I could see the strain it put on their relationship, but he had to learn the consequences of his actions. Just when we thought we'd gotten through to him, another shocker dropped. My boyfriend, who's usually the quiet type, came to me with a confession. He'd known about my nephew's betting and had even covered for him a couple of times, thinking it was just a phase. I couldn't believe it. The one person I thought I could rely on had kept this from me. It felt like a slap in the face. The fallout was messy. My sister was furious with both of us now. She accused me of not taking her concerns seriously, and my boyfriend of enabling her son's addiction. I couldn't defend us. She was right. We had messed up big time. In the aftermath, my nephew's been seeing a counselor for his gaming and gambling issues. It's a slow process, but he's making progress. My sister and I are patching things up, but it's going to take time to rebuild that trust. As for my boyfriend and me, we're working through it, but it's not easy. I guess the only silver lining is that my nephew is getting the help he needs. But the cost, the lies, the betrayal, the broken trust, it's a heavy price to pay. Thanks for hearing me out. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.